the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVWeek, episode 96, recorded Friday, June 14th, 2013. InfoComm 2013, Part 2.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. On the last episode of AV Week, we played part 1 of our conversation live from InfoComm 2013. This is part 2. We feature Shaun Robinson from AMX, Harry Mead, and the guys from Beam. So here is our conversation, part 2, live from InfoComm 2013. All right, let's see if I can get all these names correctly. First of all, my brother from another mother, we were separated at birth. His name is Harry Mead.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Tell people your new title, because you don't even have business cards yet, dude.
I don't even have business cards. I'm only a week and a half old in my new company. Chief Design Engineer for CCS Presentation Systems Mid-Atlantic.
You better get it right, because also is John Benz from Core Brands.
Core Brands, that's right. Also known as Panamax and Furman and Xantech. So here representing Xantech and Furman, I'm the Director of Power and Accessories.
Very good. Also is Blake Cease.
Got it.
Hey, look at that. First time out from Wilson. You guys have got some interesting stuff that I want to talk to you about. And Doug Little from
Wacom.
Thank you.
Yes. Comes from the Japanese word wa for harmony and com computer, so harmony between humans and technology.
Do you make tablets that I can draw on?
We do.
Okay, just making sure. I was just making sure it was the same guys. Let's go around here, actually. Harry, you are... Well, actually, we're going to end with you because you're not a manufacturer. You're an integrator and an engineer. Core Brands.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to apologize if you've read or listened to anything that I've said. I have given you guys a hard time in the past.
Sure.
And I'm not going to try to be hurtful, but sometimes it feels like you don't know where you're going.
Sure.
As far as your branding.
Sure.
Not to play on words. So tell us, kind of where you guys are and where you're going, and then what you brought to the table.
Yeah, it's been an interesting few months, and obviously a lot of our brands are in the residential space, but being here with Xantech and Furman and our Blue Bolt technology, really the branding. It seems like it can be confusing, but what we have are a variety of really strong brands that have been around for a long time.
Yes.
And that's something that we don't want to lose. So Core Brands is kind of the entity, but we're still a bunch of strong brands that people know.
And individualized too.
Individualized. So we don't want to modularize the brands. We want to keep them alive and keep the innovation stronger than ever, actually. So we're kind of going through right now all the fun things that you do in an integration. But we're putting together some new processes that's kind of going to bring us all back stronger than ever.
Very good. Did you get a chance to see the show floor?
I really didn't. I walked for about 10 minutes.
Oh, geez.
And you can't really see much on
No.
the show floor in 10 minutes.
No, depending on the area that you're in.
Yeah.
So let me get this, because I have Brad Grimes coming up. Brad Grimes. I've already had Brad Grimes. I have Bradford Benn. Just so you know, I've done that more than once in the last 2 years. So he is technically from Harmon, but he works for Crown. Is that a good analogy for you guys?
Yeah, we have brand specialists. So, for example, my role, for example, is power and accessories products.
Yeah.
So really, I oversee the Panamax brand, the Furman brand, and then the Xantech brand. But I also have the pleasure of in other brands like speaker grills and power and volume controls and things like that.
Yeah.
But we also have brand specific specialists. But we take a category approach. To our product development.
Explain that for me.
So power and accessories is my category, and then we also have an audio category director and a control category director. And
So does that mean? I'm sorry. Does that mean like for power, you do power over all the brands?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Power. We really look at where there's any kind of gaps in the product portfolio, and we're not trying to be all things to all people, but we do want to provide integrators with a single source to get a lot of quality products in specific categories with strong brands.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate
Thank you. Thanks for being.
Wilson, you guys had some cool. I don't talk about ads very much, but I liked your ad, both in the InfoComm dailies and in the other places I've seen them. Tell people briefly what Wilson does, because you have reporting, software, and tell people what you do.
So Wilson builds cell phone signal repeaters. It's a system that allows you to bring cell signal into buildings that don't otherwise get coverage. We tend to focus on the smaller end of the scale. So in your truly large venues, where you'd be looking at a DAS, we're not the solution there. We tend to fit better in venues where a DAS doesn't make commercial sense. So we basically have a small passive DAS type of a system. You have an outside antenna that talks to the cell tower. You have an amplifier that amplifies the system, and then you have a series of internal antennas that distribute the signal throughout the space. It's a bidirectional amplifier, so it not only amplifies the signal to the phones, but also back to the tower.
Okay, so it's an amplifier and two-way communication.
Right. It's a very scalable system. It's a great add-on product for an integrator that's working in commercial spaces or home spaces. We're very popular in custom home spaces where, due to the insulation of the home, the construction of the home, you may have good cell signal outside, but it doesn't penetrate the home on its own, so you need a conduit to bring it in. Our system is perfect for that. It's carrier agnostic. There's no internet connection required. There's no pairing of phones. Just takes advantage of the existing cell signal outside. Our product is also safe to use on the networks, doesn't cause interference, has a very low noise floor, has some automatic shutdowns for any, if it's installed incorrectly. What we like to say is, if the product is installed correctly, it works beautifully. If it's installed incorrectly, it doesn't work at all, which is good for the carriers. Yeah. They don't want noise and interference on their system.
Let me ask you a question. I'm confused. I don't see the AV.
So we have a lot of integrators here that do. In fact, I've actually had a tremendous show. This is our first InfoComm. I attended last year with Capital Sales in their booth. They carry our products, and my initial feeling was, no, this may not be the greatest fit for our company, but we decided to come give it a try. Because there are in this building there are many commercial integrators, but there's a lot of crossover there.
Absolutely.
A lot of guys getting into some home integration too, and that's really where our program started, was focused more on home integration. But what we found through this, let me just back up just a little bit. We started a certified installer program last September. Since last September, we've added about 1,400 certified trained installers in the United States and Canada to our network of installers, and we do a certified installer training twice a month, webinar. Typically, we'll have 100 guys signed up for that twice a week.
Wow.
So there's a ton of opportunity out there. I mean, if you just look at cell phone growth charts, cellular growth charts, our growth parallels that. Everybody wants to get rid of their landline. Everybody wants their iPhone 5 to work in their beautifully customized home. Due to good quality construction, that often doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So we provide a solution for that. Some people ask, well, why don't you just use the femtocell or whatever that the carrier can provide? It's an option. It has some limitations. You have to pair the phone with the device in many cases. There's not a good handout, so walk out the door, you drop the call.
Not only that, but you've got most homes nowadays have several different, and you'd have to do one pairing for each one.
Right.
So yeah, you guys, there's a definite use case. Shaun Robinson's next to you from AMX, and I'm like, I get AV there.
Right.
But I get it now with the integrators.
So
and stuff like that.
It's another arrow in the quiver of an integrator.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense.
It's not going to be for every job, but it's great to have it in your pocket, when you encounter the need.
Okay. Real quickly, did you see anything on the show floor that kind of hit you?
I haven't had a chance to walk the show floor.
All right.
I was in the booth the whole time.
I'm just, you poor fellas. I feel sorry for you. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Wacom.
Wacom.
I've used your tablets before for drawing. I can draw a mean stick figure. But tell me, besides obviously the content creation and stuff like that, why you guys decided to show at InfoComm?
Yeah, we've been actually showing it at InfoComm for a very long time. So as you mentioned, we do make interactive pen displays for the creative community. So animators, photographers, illustrators working with Disney, Pixar, Sony. Any animated movie you see is done on Wacom gear, as well as industrial design. Take the automotive industry as an example. There isn't an automotive company that doesn't use Wacom gear to design on. But for presentation, training rooms, classrooms, Wacom is very big. Our interactive pen displays are a great way to communicate with students, and we have a full line of interactive pen displays that meet that need.
Okay, so you're getting into the whole collaborative and I hate using smartboard because it's like saying Kleenex, but it's smartboards. What the heck? So what have you seen in the last few years that in that space that's kind of changed?
Well, people wanting to get more involved with their students, be able to do something that's more natural, more intuitive, and Wacom pen displays really allow you to do that. They allow you to communicate easier with your students. Also, for recording reasons, we're seeing a lot of people recording their classes now, and the capability for especially math and science and some languages to able to record your lessons and play them later to either students that weren't there or for distance learning purposes. It's really fantastic.
Excellent. What's one or two things that you've seen on the show floor that kind of
I too have been so
Seriously,
busy. I know it's sad.
I'm sorry. Where's their PR people? You need to give these guys some time. Good Lord.
See,
almighty.
I am the PR people. So
well, then you need to give yourself some more time. All right, Doug. Thank you so much for coming by. I
thank you very
appreciate
much. Thanks.
All right. Speaking of, well, you're not a PR person. This is my buddy Shaun.
Yep.
He is from AMX. He and I got to spend about an hour or so together today, but he's gracious enough to come by and hang out with us. How are you, brother?
I am doing fantastic.
Good.
My feet are another story.
Well,
right? But
you should. Where's Lane? Lane, you need to get him fancier shoes or something.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs a raise.
They did a good job on the carpet this year. Lots of thick foam, so that helped.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of you guys that do it's like 10 inches thick.
Exactly.
Of course, by this time on Friday, it's smashed down a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about AMX for a second, and we have two more gentlemen here real quick, and I'll get to Harry. Brock mentioned the less expensive Madero line.
Yes.
And 2 years ago, when we started this podcast, George Tucker and Linda said Frembes and my buddy Michael and I, the first thing we did was a retrospective of InfoComm. This one 2 years ago. And all of us agreed that the best product that year was the Madero. Still the sexiest touch panel out there.
Yep.
Then talk to me a minute because you've got, it's a less expensive one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a lower price point, Explain kind of why that is and what makes it less expensive.
Yeah, so the challenges that all AV control manufacturers are going through with iPads and other tablet devices coming online, you really have to step up the game, right? And so that's what we did with the Madero X launch, is we looked at a completely different form factor, looking at the room and how people are using the room and using technology in the room, and that led us into that panoramic format for that display, and it's been very successful. But we're not reaching all the spaces that we need to be reaching. We're reaching those boardrooms. We're reaching decent-sized conference rooms. We'd like to get into those smaller rooms and those smaller spaces, and those are a little bit more cost-sensitive, right, based on the capital expenditure in those spaces. So that justified the need for a more economical line. One thing about AMX, we take industrial design extremely seriously.
Yeah.
It comes all the way down from our CEO. We were talking earlier. Yeah. Anything that the user sees or touches has got to be absolutely beautiful, because unlike a tablet device or consumer device, when they're buying this equipment, it's going to be in the room for 7 to 10 years, and so it needs to look good for 7 to 10 years. So when we went back to offer the economical line, we weren't going to do it in a fashion that made it look unpleasing aesthetically. So we applied some great industrial design to it, and very cost effective. We were on those engineers for every penny as we designed it, so we can offer something low cost, and did it in a way that the industrial design has a consistent look and feel. So as you go from that huddle space all the way up into that executive boardroom, across the organization, you're going to get a nice, consistent, elegant look and feel.
Yeah, right? and it ties it all together and makes it feel like it was on purpose.
Exactly. Exactly.
One of the cool things that you showed me, and I'm looking through my notes for the actual spelling of this.
ENZO.
There we go. Thank you. See,
Enzo.
it's on the first page of my notes. Enzo.
Yep.
That thing was, to me, that was the coolest thing.
Yep.
Nothing against the Madero. Again, still sexy.
Right.
But that was cool. That was. I am not going to say the word game changer, but revolutionary. How about that?
I like it. I'll take it.
Explain to people what it is and for a second what it does.
Yeah, so a very different type of product, but a couple of problems.
Very different. I mean, not for nothing. Y'all are a control and switching company.
Right.
So go ahead.
Exactly. So, and it's interesting as technology companies involve, right? We've been around for 31 years, and it's becoming a lot less about the technology and a lot more about really looking at what is the problem we're trying to solve and for who, right? And because customers are wanting solutions. And we look at two problems, and when we're addressing Enzo, is when you're going into a conference room, no matter what the automation equipment's doing, you press the button. If your content's on the network drive, you're dealing with a Windows PC. You're turning it on and you're logging in, and it's taken about 2 to 3 minutes to do that, just to get to your content. The other aspect was we're having a lot of our customers come in and say, hey, I want a wireless way to get content from my mobile device up on the screen. Yeah. And I don't want it just to happen with an Apple device. I want it to happen with an Android device and a Windows 8 device. So I need something agnostic, right? And so we took those two problems and said, what can we do differently here? Where can we apply some innovation? And it came up to about, and like we were talking to you earlier, people are creating that content not on their tablet device, but at their desktop or laptop. And they want to be able to access it quickly inside the room. Well, they're getting that content to their mobile device through typically a cloud service, just because these mobile devices are a little kludgy when you plug in over USB, getting that drag and drop, right? So if you have a Dropbox folder on your desktop, literally you create your content there, drag it into a Dropbox folder, walk into the room, and it's all about how fast can we get that content out of that cloud onto that screen. How quickly can we do that? And we do that with a QR code. So you basically come into the room, it's always on, it's not a PC, it's an embedded device, no moving parts. Hit the button, QR code pops up, scan the QR code, and then we do have to get permission to put that content, allow that content. So that's that's all you need from your mobile phone. Scan that QR code, Dropbox asks you, would you like to share this content? Yes, and your content's instantly up on the screen. The other piece was, we said, okay, what happens after the meeting or after the class? People want a copy. Hey, can I get a copy of that presentation? Can I get a copy of that PDF? You have to go back, email out all that stuff, get everybody's email addresses, literally from the box itself. Hit the share button, another QR code. Everybody holds their phone up, whether they have Dropbox on their phone or not. Scan the code. They get the PDF or PowerPoint instantly on their phone, all across the cloud. So we're not coming in and interrogating a Wi-Fi network. Again, a lot of the corporate spaces we sell into, they're very concerned about Wi-Fi access. This doesn't require any Wi-Fi access at all. Basically, it's already a cell network going right to the cloud, authenticating and sharing that content. So it's really cool. I mean, we just basically took a problem, took the technology we had available to us, and apply it in a way to solve that problem.
Yeah. You guys, real quickly, because I know you got to get out of here. What was one or two things besides Enzo out of your guys's that you really, really wanted to promote? And then what's one or two pieces of technology you saw?
Sure. So you talked a little bit
outside of your booth.
Yeah, sir. So you talked a little bit about the Madero. We had lots of additions to our Nova line. So HDCP over fiber, 64 by 64, and the big boy, the 288 by 288, right? So a lot of people have been asking for that. Lots of additions in our network media line, specifically an H.264 1080p 30 encoder for a very, very aggressive price point. So, and that really fits in with our network media portfolio. So that's all I'll finish saying about AMX. 17 new product announcements this show. It's
and that's
unparalleled.
A record.
And that's a record for us, 17 new product announcements. So won't go into all that detail there, but if you want to check it out, amx.com and on our social media. Coolest thing I saw at the show, and I think you probably had a few others on the show already, and I'm sure you are pretty excited about this too, with the Sony 4K OLED, right? So I know on the previous cast you've been talking about OLED versus 4K, which one? And if they could truly offer both, that's amazing. I just wondered when that might happen. If it's 2050, I just hope I'm still alive to see it.
You and me both, brother.
And then you know, you're trying to get, you know, they're so protective, right? And you're trying to get around, how thin is this? And they're like,
no, they got
get
two big old buffy security guards protecting the stupid thing.
But it was an absolutely stunning picture.
Yes.
Absolutely stunning picture. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, hope it comes to market at some point.
Does that mean I wasn't supposed to take a picture?
Yeah.
Yes, that means
they're going to come after Harry with the samurai sword.
Don't worry, your camera's not high enough resolution if you use something to properly render the picture. So you down convert it for him. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he has one of Brad Grimes's Blackberries, so.
Oh, I'm sure the BlackBerry will be fine. That's a good 640 by 480 resolution. It'll represent it perfectly.
That. All right. Well, it was good to meet you in person.
Yeah, Tim,
Sean,
same here.
It.
Same here. And again, thanks for having me on. I've got to go back and help them tear down the booth. But
I understand.
It was great coming over and meeting you guys face to face. Harry, Matt, and Chris, and AV Don outside.
Yeah.
You're like celebrities, right?
Oh,
so
dear Lord,
this
stop it.
Really cool meeting you guys face to
celebrity.
face. But really enjoy the cast, and thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Don't they have the face for radio?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a reason. I mean, we had a guy from Broadcast Picks on earlier threatening me with video.
No. There is no
Just
video.
telling you, he did.
Don't shake that camera at me.
Don't shake that camera at me. All right,
Yeah.
Sean,
Hey, you
thank
have
you
no
very much.
microphone. We
I
can't hear
appreciate
what you're saying,
There's
Matt.
a reason for that. All right, a couple more new guys, and Harry, I want to get your thoughts. But this gentleman right here, who's chiming in, I have to get his new title here. He is Bradford Benn from Harmon, business developer of electronic systems or something like that.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. He's one half of the Bradford and Matt show.
That's why I brought Matt with me.
Don't. He's going to put him on, isn't he?
He's going to mess up his hair, so he might not actually put him on.
I'll do it.
He'll do it. All right. And there's Matt Scott
Take
again.
one for the team.
There's Matt Scott again. Also with us is Oren Charm.
Yes.
All right, from Geffen. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for coming. And Dave Crilly.
That's right.
Hi. Hey, you know what? I'm batting 1,000 today.
You are.
He's from Telelabs. So we'll go around the horn here. Harry.
Yes.
You took a picture of the Beam, which we should be hearing from the CEO from that in about 10 or 20 minutes here. Besides the Sheldon,
the production Shellbot,
the Shellbot, what else did you see on the show floor that kind of knocked your socks off?
I liked Altinex's Muse. I know you guys talked about it already.
No, it's okay. We'll talk about it again.
It's awesome. Figuring out how to get, I mean, it's only 150 watts, but it's enough to power a good number of displays.
Yeah.
Over Cat 6. That works.
By the way, is it really Cat 6? Is it shielded? What is it? Doesn't it have to be shielded?
We were having this debate.
Yes.
Because their marketing press sheet, which we don't really mention on this show, because they're press sheets.
I don't care.
But they say shielded.
Okay.
Everyone in the booth, even
including
the VP
thing on
of
the wall,
engineering, said unshielded.
But
and
how far are they running?
So somebody missed a meeting somewhere.
Somebody missed a meeting, or somebody's misunderstanding.
Well, I meant in the booth.
In the booth, they're no. As in, they're even saying, yes, we will run 300 feet unshielded.
Okay.
In the booth, they're running unshielded.
Because I
30
do that.
feet.
I cheat every so often and go, I don't feel like running out and buying another cable.
No, I understand.
Look, Cat 3 cable, that'll be fine.
That's awesome.
You can still find that? That's called 2 paper clips.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't laugh. I saw somebody run telephone wire as distributed audio once in a church.
What do you mean once? I still see projects like that.
I just took that out last week.
Oh, jeez. All right. Okay.
I've been to South Africa. I've seen the worst raccoons.
This wasn't in
the
South
world.
Africa. This was in my hometown.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it is the Midwest.
I literally stripped
Hey.
that out of a site 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Can you tell we're professionals here?
No. By the way, how was the airport in Mumbai or wherever you were?
Oh, I still haven't gotten it. So far behind.
Seriously?
It was supposed to open in February. It's the Bangalore International Airport Terminal Expansion number 1 was supposed to open for Valentine's Day. So my wife got me a nice romantic travel gift. And it was then, and by that I mean a water filter purification system. Because like they give me all the don't drink this, don't do that. I'm like, So then it moves to March. Then it moved to April. Then it moved to July. So today I'm waiting to get the update, and I'm like, let me see, I get to go to India in June. This is going to be fun. It's like when I went to Dubai in July, and it was 107 Fahrenheit at night.
Harry, when did you
I
go
was
to
going
Kuwait?
to say, dude, Kuwait in July, 135.
You know the feeling. Yes. They air conditioned the parking garage in Dubai. It was the most surreal thing I'd ever seen.
Wow. All right. What does Telelabs do, Dave?
Well, you said game changer, so I guess I have to go with revolutionary.
There we go. No, I said I don't want to say game changer because everybody's saying it.
Okay. So I'll say game changer.
Okay.
So what this is
Hey, he brought it.
I've
Look
got
at
a
that.
prop. I'm going to hold up to the microphone
give
so
it here.
everyone can
Now you have to
experience
take a
it.
picture of it and tweet it out and put it on the podcast notes.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Yeah, this is a revolutionary device. I'll say it, revolutionary.
Yeah, sure, okay.
What we do is video conferencing, which is standards-based. So we're supporting the SIP standard in that little box for $650. We also do our own cloud-based service. We also do Skype. There we go. Take a nice picture. As well as Blue Jeans.
Okay. So you're working with everybody here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and explain to me, because I had...
You're holding it wrong.
I'm holding it wrong. No, I'm doing it in portrait mode. This is portrait mode.
He's holding it lovingly. I like the way he's
This is
holding
portrait
it.
mode. Oh my goodness. Sorry, the guy from
guys from Beam are here.
from Beam is here, and he brought a.
I was going to say, we've only been talking about it all day.
So at what point, Tim, did you realize you lost control of this podcast? Was it as soon as I
sat down,
or as soon as Matt joined in?
As soon as you sat down.
I am always the last
All right, hang
guest.
on. Real quickly.
Sure.
So I talked with a couple other video conferencing people today, and explain to me SIP and that standard.
Yeah, so it's a session initiation protocol. It's all about how we get these different manufacturers' devices to talk to each other, right? So you're talking about Polycom, Cisco, Lifesize, and now Telelabs as well. If you have a bridge, if you have a server, this is how they all talk to each other. And this is what enables us to have, well, what I think addresses the biggest part of the market, the biggest unrealized potential for video conferencing, which is all those huddle rooms, those middle-sized conference rooms where you can't justify a $20,000 system.
Yeah.
Now you can have this, and you can plug it into your infrastructure, and you can really afford to let everyone who actually meets in those meeting rooms and does work participate in video conferencing.
Wow. Very good. All right, Geffen, talk to me.
Yes.
You guys, good Lord.
He has a real name. Don't call him by his brand. That's impolite. AVNation.
Harmon.
AVNation.
Harmon. At
AVNation.
least I can call you Bradford Grimes.
Yeah, what were you ever thinking putting Bradford and Brad on the same show on the
but
same
I should
day?
do it one more time just to prove that I can do it.
Oh, I'd pay money to see that. I got money. On the table.
You have. Of course, you just got a promotion. Of course, you have money. Or I've been using you guys' stuff forever. $1.
And the dollar's on the table.
It's dollar Americans. Since we have Matt here, we should clarify.
They just put the Beam in a timeout.
Yes, they did.
she was making a little bit of noise. What'd you guys bring this year, and what's exciting for you?
Well, we brought a couple of new products. I'm basically in charge of the automation side. So we have our GAVA system, which is our Geffen audio video automation. And we've added some new features to it now that allow you, we're integrating a lot with Lutron for control. So we're able to actually repurpose ordinary light switch to act as a AV controller. And we have a new system that kind of started out as a video extender over IP that's turned into a giant video matrix over IP that allows you to build any size video matrix and control it with our GAVA control system, just using a managed switch instead of a giant matrix fabric.
You guys have some HD-based stuff as well.
A lot of HD-based
A lot of HD-based stuff.
A lot of HD-based stuff.
Is that, how did you, I ask this a lot of both AVB people and HD-based T. How'd you go about deciding that's the track you wanted to go down?
Well, actually we didn't.
Oh, well, there you go.
Valens came to us with some interesting technology, and we said, gee, we could brand that, and we could go out there and sell it. So we were selling what we were calling ELR, Geffen ELR technology, and here's a new way that we can go from 3 Cat 6s down to 1 Cat 5 and still get 1080p video. And all of a sudden, Valens turned out to, they hired some marketing person, they decided to start marketing HD-based T, and all of a sudden, a guy is saying, I think people know what HD-based T is, maybe we should start telling them that that's what we're doing. So we were like first out of the gate with it as our own private branded product, and then now we're doing all kinds of stuff with it.
Yeah, I was wondering, what's one or two things, obviously besides the stuff you guys brought that you've seen that has kind of pushed things forward for you?
One of the things I've been seeing, I really haven't spent much time on the show floor this time because I've been doing demos all day long. But in talking to people, there seems to be a rescaling of the integration process, where people were talking before about doing home automation or conference room automation or building automation. And there seems to be a kind of a common awareness that it's more about solving problems and doing tasks than it is about automating everything. So we're seeing a lot of people, we're talking about, maybe you don't want to automate the conference room, maybe you just want to have a button that lets the chairman walk in and show his PowerPoint presentation on the screen without having to bring in 2 AV technicians to hook it all up. So there's that new concept that you can just solve a problem, solve a couple of problems, and use the automation and integration tools to do it rather than having to start with the total scope of the project and then try to figure out how many places you can put it.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of that.
So when it comes to that, real quickly, because I want to get you going and some other people in here, have you done anything at all with NFC, with that, like where the chairman can walk in and the NFC senses that he's there because of the tag and does certain things?
We haven't yet. I mean, we're kind of keyed into that. One of the interesting things about GAVA is that because it's an IP-based product, just about any communications that end up on the network that are accessible to it can be used to trigger other things. So as long as, if we have an application that requires it, as long as we have something that can read the NFC tags and say, the chairman is in the room, we can say if the chairman's in the room, turn on his microphone and make his PowerPoint show up on the screen. We're still getting into that whole application side of things. We're able to do a lot of different things and trying to figure out which ones are marketable. One of the things I was talking today, one of our sister companies, core brands, has this Blue Bolt stuff that does power management. And I started thinking about it last night and saying, well, we can have a button on our system that will turn off every piece of equipment in the room. And it does that through IP, through IR, through RS-232, and it puts all the equipment in standby mode. Well, now I've got 36 pieces of equipment in standby mode. I said, what if I connected all that equipment to a Blue Bolt power supply and I talk to that via IP, and after I've got everything in standby mode, I can kill all the power and shut everything off, and then when they come in the morning, hit a button, power the rack on, give it 10 seconds, and then turn everything on. So it's an interesting application where we can do a lot of energy savings beyond what the equipment does in standby, and hopefully get around the problem that we've seen where some equipment, to save energy, when you put it in standby mode, it turns off the IP connection.
And that you can do that because it's you guys and the other core brands, and that helps.
It helps. I mean, we could do it.
You could do it with others too.
It's nice that they do it, but I said, here's a nice synergy
Yeah.
where we can take the two products and make them work together, and because we can talk over the local network to that product, we can control it independent of all the other systems in the all the other products in the system.
Well, Oren, thank you so much. Oren's with Geffen, and Dave Curley from Telelabs. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll need to talk to you because people keeps telling me I'm doing videos sometime soon. So
you can't avoid it.
Yeah, you can't avoid it. So.
They do make wrestling masks.
Oh, dude, we should totally do that.
Yeah, I'd be up for it. Get me a zombie Mexican wrestling mask.
What do they call the Mexican?
La Lucha Leche.
La Lucha Leche, yes. I used to watch Rey Mysterio Jr. when I was a kid, so it's the only one I know. By the way, that guy next to you, do you know him?
No, don't know him yet.
This is Bill Brown.
Hi, Bradford Benn.
From BD Brown Communications. How are you?
I am doing great, Tim.
Good.
You actually let me on for 2 segments?
I do. Tara Dowdle?
That's right.
All right. She's from Corning. And this is the cool thing about this, and Bill and Bradford will get to you in a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who? Yeah, sure, yeah. If there's nobody that's been on, get them on.
Well, I need my sidekick, Matt.
You do not need Matt Scott on here. You're I don't know if it was you that emailed me or one of the PR companies that emailed me, but it was your new Gorilla Glass, and the fact that you're showing it in InfoComm, I think is fascinating, because here's the thing: we all, and everybody that's been on the show today, and technologists and people smarter than me, will tell you that we are moving as big as we are with all the different displays, as well as we're moving smaller into mobile and touch and this, that, and the other. So that's why I actually just wanted to meet you and get you on and talk to you guys about Corning, and the glass.
Yeah, so I'm probably not your traditional guest that you have on your podcast broadcast, so thank you very much for having me. So I work for Corning Incorporated. We are a glass and ceramics materials science company with a history of over 160 years of innovation. And the business that I'm representing is Corning's Gorilla Glass business. And you're probably familiar with Corning Gorilla Glass, but I'm representing the large Gorilla Glass business.
So bigger gorillas?
Bigger gorillas, if you can imagine such a thing. Now, we came to InfoComm last year. And here we are again. So this is our second year here. And so, what are we talking about? Well, yeah, we're talking about glass. And so if you're thinking about AV, how does glass relate to that, right? What's the connection? Why are you here at InfoComm and why are you on this podcast? So what does Gorilla Glass do? What's the advantage, the value proposition? That's
I can think of lots of applications. I'm like sitting there going, let's see, we have all these expensive displays. If I'm guessing and not trying to steal your thunder. But
no, please.
All these expensive displays, especially if you look at scoreboards in high schools, you got all these displays in airports, you've got all these places, and vandalism, damage, etc. Putting Gorilla Glass in front of it's probably better than replacing it every 3 years.
So I think you're absolutely heading in the right direction there. So Corning Gorilla Glass has the damage resistance of products that are 2 to 3 times thicker. So if you walk the show floor, you have a look at some of these displays, they've got a very thick, heavy cover glass on the front of it. And so what you're able to do with Corning Gorilla Glass is you're able to have a much thinner cover on the front of these displays without compromising that damage resistance. And so as you look at this trend of 4K, 2K, and we can debate whether the content's out there or not, and how fast this is going.
It's there. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're debating about 3D later.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But certainly you don't want to have a thick cover on the front of it in order to protect it, and then you lose the quality of the image. And so what I did was I brought some glass, and I thought we could break some glass. How do you feel about that?
Okay.
Okay, so cool.
Bradford?
Shall I?
I should have brought my Dr. Destructo outfit.
Okay, so what I have here is 3 pieces of glass. The first one I'm going to give you is called non-strengthened soda lime, which basically means that this is the same type of sort of window glass that you would see on some of these displays that are out there on the shop floor. Very thick, very heavy. It's an abraded glass demonstration. So what it means is we've taken this glass, we have scratched the surface, so we've introduced the floor into the surface of the glass. I'm going to hand the glass over to you here. I'm going to hand you this metal stylus. What you're going to do is go ahead and press down into the center of it. And what you should see is when you do that, basically when you have any kind of floor or crack or scratch, breaks really easily, right? Will you testify?
That was easy.
Absolutely.
That was easier than opening a beer.
Absolutely.
That's what I usually think of when I'm breaking glass. What can I say?
You keep them out there. You keep the stylus there. Okay, second piece of glass I'm going to give you. So you could take that regular piece of glass and you can put it through a chemical strengthening process, which makes it a little tougher. But again, if it gets damaged in any kind of way, any kind of scratch, any kind of flaw in the glass, it's a little harder to break, but press down. Oh, other end. There you go.
Other end.
Okay, so a trick stylus.
Trick stylus, exactly.
There he goes.
That's a little harder.
A little harder to break, but
hands.
still.
Yep.
Okay. Now what I'm showing here is, again, all 3 pieces of glass are the same thickness. So now I'm going to hand over a piece of Corning Gorilla Glass. And again, also the center of the glass has been damaged. It's been abraded a little bit there. And what you'll find is that even when that happens, because of Corning's proprietary fusion process, and then also the you're going to stamp it down. Okay. Now I'm worried. I might you might put the stylus through your hand, and I'll be taking you to hospital later, and you'll be suing me.
That's impressive.
So, our secret sauce, if you like, the Corning Gorilla Glass composition enables us to chemically strengthen the glass to a depth of layer that makes it damage resistant, scratch resistant. And so even though, just for comparative purposes, all three are the same thickness, it means that you could go to a much thinner cover glass on the front. So you end up with, advantages for your display, such as weight reduction, mounting and transportation savings, great transmission, optical picture quality. If it's a touch display, because the glass is thinner, you end up with a much more touch-sensitive device because now your finger is closer to the sensor. And then also it addresses the issue of parallax. So if you're stood there, you've got a big display and you're touching it, you end up with an optical illusion if you have a very thick cover on the front of it, because where you think the sensor is and where it actually is not correctly aligned. Now, if you get the chance, do, well, actually it's probably a bit late now because it's 4 o'clock.
It's 4 o'clock.
But in the booth, we were actually showing three different products, if you like, which feature Corning Gorilla Glass on the front of it. One of them is a 55-inch multi-touch display by Microsoft, and that's a touch display, and it was actually launched at InfoComm last year. On the opposite end of the spectrum, if you like, we were also showcasing a new line of glass marker boards by Egan Visual, which feature Corning Gorilla Glass on the front of it.
Wow.
And so again, addressing the same issues, delivering solutions for, corporate environments, education environments, whereby a very thin glass is on the front. You don't compromise the damage resistance, but you can mount it much easier. If you think about glass marker boards right now, they're very thick, they're very heavy. The one we have in the booth is attached to the wall with pieces of Velcro. And so it's thinner. And so, if you try to use magnets with these kind of marker boards, because the traditional current kind of glass marker board is very thick, you end up having to use sort of rare earth magnets, which are expensive. And so now Gorilla Glass is thinner. You could actually just use a regular magnet for it. And then the third product that we have in there, which I really wish you guys could have come and seen it, it was actually a prototype that we built in our lab. We call it Corning Gorilla Glass for Infinite Edge Designs. And what we did was we took 3 46-inch displays, and then using our Gorilla Glass and an optical film solution, basically we created what we call an immersive experience, such that we were playing Gran Turismo on there. And while you're driving, it creates, it hides the bezel. So it looks like basically that there's no frame there, and all three screens were one. So it was a lot of fun.
So now you have me interested beyond the display.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm taking over your show.
You're fine.
No, this is why you have me on last.
That's why I have you on, period.
So I'm thinking projectors and camera lenses and things like that. Is Gorilla Glass at that high resolution that there can be camera lenses that you don't have to worry of giving to the fifth grader who's going to not only put fingerprints on it, but poke it with a stick? Not that I ever did that, but is it at that level of resolution yet?
So it has great transmission, certainly higher transmission than other competitive glasses that we have seen. We have not looked at the camera lens market. We are looking, so Gorilla Glass is a cover glass that we're looking at for high-performance displays. It's currently 1.5 billion devices in the market that feature Corning Gorilla Glass.
I don't have any of those.
As he points to his iPhone.
One of many. So, but because I'm as a hobby photographer, I'd be like, oh, if I can get a circular polarizer that both protects it and gives me my camera effects, I'd pay 2 or 3 times the price. So, and I want a free one now.
Do I have your word on that?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I am not cheap when it comes to protecting my investments.
Yeah. Well, when it comes down to it, I mean, really what Corning's trying to do is show you that glass is really driving innovation in many different areas here. And Corning is also, I don't know if you saw our Day Made of Glass video that came out a couple of years ago. I mean, it went viral on YouTube because people looked at that video and it really resonated with them because they saw, a home environment, a work environment, seamless communication between your displays, your devices, everything that you're doing, managing complex information. And it's modern and it's clean, and they really like that, and it resonated with them, and they want to see that. And so, obviously, as a materials science company, we're driving towards that vision of ubiquitous displays everywhere. But it's not just Corning. There's other companies that are working on making that vision happen, and I think you've seen some of it on the show floor that are driving towards that.
All right. Well,
But
thank you so much for coming by.
you.
You're
I
right. You're
appreciate
not a typical AV
No,
but you know
Talk to
what?
her more. This
Go
is more
ahead.
Can we talk about the fiber optic and multi-mode versus regular mode?
Oh, there you go.
Bradford.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Tim.
you, Tara.
Thank you,
I
everyone.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Steve, why don't you grab that real quick, please? Also with us is Bill Brown, BD Brown Communications. How are you, brother?
I am doing great.
Good. What you up to?
Well, this is Friday at InfoComm. That's
Yes.
what to say there. BD Brown Communications is up to helping end users and integrators and manufacturers connect with, I guess, the market better than we have done in the past. And the big part of my business is helping people make smart technology decisions. And smart technology decisions start with conversations.
Yes.
And most of the times when there are challenges in technology decisions that are happening, it's because people are not talking about it. They're just looking at the bright, flashy, interesting things, right?
Squirrel.
And or they can afford it, so let's get it, and then we have to deal with it. So through that process, I am opening up a technology center, and a technology center that will have an exhibit hall space and places where manufacturers and thought leaders in our industry can talk about how we can help people utilize technology in their organizations better instead of just selling them stuff. Yeah. And so that's what I'm up to. That's what I'm excited about, and I'm glad to be able to tell everybody about it.
Did you get a chance to go on the show floor?
Yes, a little bit. It's kind of interesting being an exhibitor for the first time, and seeing InfoComm as an exhibitor. It really reduces the show down.
The nice 10 by 10
right,
with the same carpet and your guy across the hall.
Right, and that's InfoComm, and so it's like, wow, it's a little more manageable or something, or something. There wasn't as many people coming past my booth as I would have thought, but it was still great. A lot of good feedback, and so a lot of partners that I would like to have, throughout the technology centers that we set up, I was able to connect with and continue that conversation after the show. But it was really great to see some of the exciting things that our industry is bringing, and really moving the dial forward, and being able to, when we have those conversations and when we get back and talk to some of my clients and potential clients, that now I know that there are not just people that want to get technology in your place, but they really want to help you get your mission and your vision out there.
Well, actually, I wanted to bring Steve on because, first of all, you were on for 2 seconds. But the other reason is because what he's doing is, it reminds me a lot of some of your clients in technology. When it comes to that and pushing that forward, whether it's the education guys that you have, the boardroom guys, you are really good, and you remind me a lot of, you guys remind me of each other, because that's where you start. You start at the conversation level. You start at, what is it that you want to do?
Sure. And I think that's really where we come in and we're most effective. We've been trying to change that for a lot of years, where we've been brought in as somebody who's just got to get the job done, to somebody who helps to define the job. And the effectiveness in what we do and our deliverable as programmers is writing code, but what we help to do is to identify the need and provide the proper solution, which is very, very similar to what you just described.
Absolutely.
Well, I was going to say, I think that almost applies to everyone, because now, especially with the big box and the internet, which we all have to explain why the hardware is not the commodity. It's the smarts that we all bring that is what makes it. Because I've put in sound systems where, what's the polite way to put it? The operator is definitely the weak link in the chain. And you look at all the modern technology, and it can get overwhelming. And I think it's a key concept to make the technology useful.
Right. And the big thing is when we don't have that conversation, there's an expectation put on the technology, and then when that technology or the operator doesn't meet that expectation, then all technology is bad or it's too expensive. Yeah. Well, the right technology isn't as expensive as the wrong technology in your organization.
That's a good way to put it.
All right. Mr. Brown, thank you so much. Hang around if you would, please, but let's try to switch some other people in here.
Wonderful.
We are talking right now. By the way, you're listening to AVWeek. Thanks so much for doing so. Ron, what is your last name?
Bowgley.
Bowgley. And Chris Janes, you guys are from Immersive Technology. Real quickly, first, what is Immersive and what do you do?
Immersive Technologies is a venture-backed software company based in Denver, Colorado. So our charter is we're a little bit different. We're a software company in the AV industry, which I know is a burgeoning trend, but I think it's still probably more in the minority than the majority. And what we do is we use our software to leverage commodity display hardware and commodity off-the-shelf computers to bring high-performance AV to a much broader part of the market. So think about clustering inexpensive projectors, using our Soul edge blending technology to create big seamless displays. Don't have to worry about projection rooms and throw distance in new construction. Our new Solstice products that we launched here in February allow people to turn with our software a Windows 7 PC into a video switch with control and content publishing from their mobile device. So a little bit different way of looking at the business. We're sort of sitting at the center of the storm between AV and IT convergence, software commoditizing hardware, and of course the theme of the show was collaboration, and Solstice is a wireless collaboration product.
So who is your client? I mean, is it the dealer, or are you talking to?
We only sell direct.
Okay.
We sell through resellers and OEMs, and so we're working through the same channels that all the big legacy hardware guys are working through. But we clearly have gotten the attention of some of the bigger reseller organizations, bigger OEMs. We work with Delta, we work with Sapphire Rep Groups, Visitech, people like that, Whitlock, Electrosonic. I think it's a generational thing. I think a lot of the younger guys and gals are realizing that software is here, and it's another way to create a solution for their customer, and it's a little bit evangelical. It takes time. But it's happening. We're IT guys, though. We're software guys. Chris is a former, professor of computer science at the University of Kentucky.
Yeah, so we view most of these problems completely differently than you would if you were a traditional AV guy. And we kind of get two bites of the apple because our first software product allows you to build really high-resolution seamless displays quickly and easily. So imagine, a traditional command and control center, but you can't put that in your general purpose conference room. Well, you can do that with Soul. It's, 6 projectors on a wall. Sure, spray it up there. Use our camera, auto-align it. Whitlock can come in and do that in a matter of hours. Once you have that, though, now you have to go buy video switching hardware to access it. Well, that's what we just launched about 4 months ago.
Oh, wow.
It's called Solstice. Open up your laptop, your iPad, your iPhone, whatever it is, and start sharing media over the existing network. And in fact, anybody can control anything, and it really transforms what it means to collaborate in those rooms.
So that's what the client looks like. Of course, we're not connected to a Solstice server, but you can take a picture of that or check that out. So basically what you're able to do, essentially what that's going to look like is that's where you publish and that's where you control. So if you had media published, you could use that radar screen and you could control the media. You can also publish from your Android, your iOS, Mac OS X, Windows. What's interesting for us is that we've been in the market with Soul for a number of years. We come out of the simulation space. So Chris and the team understand the high-end caves and domes and calibrating 30 projectors for Flight Simulator. The challenge has been bringing that into the conference room. We've been able to do that in the last year or two with some of our partners. But it creates a virtuous cycle between, I've got a big display, I want to do BYOD. Or I want to do BYOD and I need a big display. So Soul and Solstice are in this interesting relationship right now in the channel because people are beginning to realize that the more I do BYOD, the more screen real estate I'm going to need.
Yeah, because what happens is now you've got aggregation from content from all those devices. That's the driver for pixels at that point. If you've got a 4K panel and you're looking for 4K content as the single source, that's a different conversation than we have 4 HD feeds and it's super trivial for me to hit a button and put it on the screen.
Yeah, very cool. So what, Chris? What? Yes. Go ahead.
I was going to interject for
absolutely. Please do.
So, this is me playing host and doing exposition for it.
That is fine.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, BYOD is bring your own data, which is becoming more and more common.
Bring your own device.
No, data.
device.
Data.
Device.
Yes, I set you up for that. So that's why I wanted you to clarify. Are you
We thought it
talking
was bring your
data?
own date.
Well,
Oh,
that's, my wife listens to this podcast, so I can't comment on that. But so
And my wife is here, so.
So that was actually why I wanted to clarify. Is it bring your own device or bring your own data?
It's a little of both, because what ends up happening is the data gets stovepiped in the device.
Okay.
So we'll sell to customers that are in consumer packaged goods or whatever that have, 3D renderings of the next Nike shoe, and then over here they've got spreadsheet data, and it's stuck on that iPad versus that laptop. So we just unify all that. We run on all those platforms and just let you put them both on the screen at the same time, control each other's data, delete it if you want.
So you're not data warehousing at all. The data still lives with them.
We are a pixel transport architecture.
Just want to make sure that I was understanding, because I was thinking bring your own data, and I was like, how's that work?
Yeah, right. Seamless data transport is a much harder problem. No.
I got nothing. All right, guys, thank you so much.
It's ambiguous.
Yeah, sure.
Let's get a couple more people in here. And
Great, thanks.
we've been talking about you all day, dude.
In a good way?
In a good way.
I do think it's funny I'm on, session number 3 with you.
Well, yeah, I'm going to kick you off here in a second, though.
Sweet.
Scott.
No, I have to tear down the booth. Keep me on to the very end.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
talk hockey for an hour.
All right, we'll talk hockey.
We'll bring
for an
Matt
hour.
on. We'll record the podcast.
The gentleman at the end of the booth is, at the end of the table here, is Scott. Scott is the CEO of Suitable Technology, better known this week at least as Beam. How are you, brother?
A little bit tired. Long week.
I don't doubt it. But you are the talk of the town, as it were. Everybody that's come onto the booth or into the show here, I'll ask them, what's one or two things that has really kicked you up, and you were one of them. So
I'm flattered because we were in the back of the convention hall, because as first time exhibitors at a convention, they put you in the back of the bus.
Yeah,
you get the little crumbs, and so we were way back there. So it's great that you took a nice walk back there.
Are you closer to the show floor than this room? Or I figured out I was walked over half a mile to get here.
Yes.
I'm going to count that as my exercise for the
That
day.
is good exercise. We actually drove our Beam completely from our booth all the way over to here. And it was perfect the whole entire way, except until we get into your room here.
This is a vault. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, it's like a Faraday cage.
It
I
is.
think.
It is.
And
you have to get a new set of tires after.
Yes.
No, the tires
are fine.
We actually test our beams before we ship them out to customers. They go for a 100-kilometer test on rollers, and we test them.
Okay, real quickly, just before we continue on, explain to people, please, what Beam is and why you're here.
Well, I would love to be able to explain it, but we found that's easier to understand it when you see it in person, and I understand this medium probably does not show pictures very well.
I'm going to video.
Yeah. So Beam, we call it's a remote presence device, or more importantly, a remote presence system. It's a system for being remotely somewhere else. And Deborah couldn't make it in here, but she's out in the hall and she's talking to people and stuff like that. She has a good time. It's a video in the simplistic form. It's a video conferencing system, which you guys all know about, that do audio and video. One idea is that video conferencing is really cool. Everyone loves it. Video conferencing, really high fidelity video conferencing, and as a human, moving around is really cool, right? I mean, if you couldn't move around, it'd be not so.
It would stink, yes.
Yeah, and some people can't move around, which is But I find when I video conference to someone in traditional, I can't move around. I'm stuck on a wall, like I'm big on a wall, and I'm stuck like I'm Velcro, and I can't move around. I can't even move I can't even move anything, right? And so, and you can't go outside. Like you're in a meeting room, you can't go outside into the hallway and continue talking to somebody. You can't go down the hall into the cafe and still talk to people. And you can't go into the cubicle. You can't go into the manager's office. You can't move around as if you were there. So what we think is if you take video conferencing and you take the idea of motion, mobility, and you combine them together, you get something that's bigger than the parts. It's actually it allows you to do things that you couldn't do before. You can have video conferencing anywhere you want it and not where you don't want it. Because, I mean, I wanted to do this little skit, this little ad for Beam, and it's going to go like this. It's going to start off, and you're going to see a guy, and he's Velcroed to the wall. and he's holding up a little frame, and he's talking and saying, hey, I have the best thing for you, and doing all PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that, right? And then we're going to switch it, say, oh, and then have a beam, and then you're like, and you're moving, and you're actually a part of the table. You're talking, and you're a place at the table. You're equal to everyone. And then when the meeting ends or whatever, you can follow someone out into the hallway, and you can seal a deal right then and there in the hallway where a lot of stuff happens, right? Or in someone's office, right? And showing that, that video conferencing can be a lot more than what we currently have. I mean, we have it on our phones and stuff like that, which is, pretty good, but you don't still have control over what you're looking at. You have what they're looking at, what they want you to see. So, and I find that after like 20 minutes in a space, in any space, I can map out, I can tell you exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I've never been there. The other day, I beamed down to an X Prize event down in Southern California. And I was there for 2 days. And I did a lot of talks and talked to a lot of people, and it was really great. And then a couple weeks later, I was talking to somebody else, and I was like, hey, I was just down in San Diego, and I had to catch myself. I was like, no, actually was not. I actually beamed down there the whole entire time. But in my mind, I thought I was actually there because it was all visual, it was all interactive. I was talking with people, I was part of little breakout groups and all that stuff.
I talked earlier, and I made the comment, it's not robotics, it's a personal video conferencing system.
Yeah.
It's you take this, wherever you go, and Dawn mentioned the fact that it's the Sheldon. It was you guys. Your prototype was the Shellbot.
Yeah, those guys. They contacted us. We had this like New York Times article on the front page, and I think it's Warner Brothers, right? Make sure I get it right. They contacted us and say, "Oh, we love this thing. It looks like something that Sheldon could have made."
Yeah.
And we're like, "Yeah, because we made it in like 3 months." And so we went from design to we built 30 of those units that you saw in Big Bang Theory in 3 months, which is actually really fast to build something. And because I'm on the mind that you want to fail fast with everything. Like you want to put yourself in situations where you fail fast so that you go, so you don't waste your time.
Yeah.
And so that's my philosophy for everything, even relationships. And
and also for the St. Louis Blues, apparently.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Didn't the Devils?
They didn't even make
the
it.
Devils beat the Blues to the golf course this year?
Yes, the Devils did not even make it,
Okay.
but at least they're still. I can't even make fun of them anymore.
No,
The
you can't.
Devils are, but at least I got to go to a game.
You did. You did.
Well, next time
All
you
right.
can beam in to
Yes,
the game.
that would be excellent.
You can actually be on the,
on the ice.
No, don't. Yeah, Scott, don't get crazy.
You don't want to encourage me. Trust me.
Don't get crazy. All right.
No. You laugh, but I'm actually working on that.
Oh, I want to do that. Yeah,
We think
I'm
we think there's money there.
I'm there. Yeah.
Like you could be on the sidelines of NFL games.
There is money there.
There is money there.
Absolutely.
Having been there, I would
Yes.
pay to do it again.
I would pay to do it again too.
Yeah, you can go out in the field because they can't really trust you actually on the field, right? But you can actually beam onto the field and actually be anywhere you want, So.
Nice.
I'm thinking Tecmo Bowl with
Chicago
Beam.
Bears. I want to be on
the
Bears.
Oh, I've
All
already
right.
been on there, so.
See, you know what? All right, thank you seriously, Scott, for stopping by.
Sorry for destroying that fun, but
you are yeah. Like
thank
I
you
said,
so much.
You were the talk of the day. All right.
we should post a video of the beam
We should.
outside.
We should.
We've been taking videos and trying
have?
to do vines, so
Harry,
we will be
get over there.
talking about the beam for a
Where's
while.
Where's Mr. Scott?
Where's my sidekick?
Mr. Scott is keeping Deborah, the virtual.
Oh, go figure. Matt Scott's hair strikes
he's
again.
chatting up the virtual presence
All right.
device in the hallway. He'll be in a moment.
Let's do this, guys. First of all, I would like to thank. I'm going to call you my team, but you've become my family, and I appreciate you guys so much. This week, you guys have been great. InfoComm has been great. They've been very good hosts. Steve and the Meads and Mr. Netto, Tucker, who's not here anymore, and Matt Scott and his hair. We were roommates for a couple nights, so. I'm going to give you guys the last word. Last year, it was the year of, somebody said the year of or the year of incremental change last InfoComm. So what, Harry, we'll start with you. What was this year? Once you get done talking, you can give it to him, yes.
done talking.
While there was, he's never done talking.
Which means he'll never get the mic. Which means Scott will never get the mic.
Which means Matt Scott will never get the mic.
The show never ends.
The show never
Oh,
ends.
It's like the Bradford and Matt.
This is the show that
It'll be the Bradford and Matt podcast next, or is it the Ben and Scott podcast?
It's the Bradford and Matt Scott podcast.
Yeah.
Bradford and Matt Scott?
Yes.
Get both names?
Yes.
No, it'd be Bradford Ben and Matt Scott.
No, Bradford and Matt Scott.
Okay, we're confused. It's Mr. AV Don's
I was
time.
going to say.
It's Mr. AV
Okay,
Don's time.
okay, kids, come on now.
Tell us what we missed.
Wow.
While there was still a lot of, oh look, as one unnamed projector representative said to me, it's projectors. They're brighter, cheaper, and use a little less energy this year. Yay! He didn't hold any illusions as to what was going on. But while there was still a lot of that, there was a few things that were floating around, like the fact that Altenex piece, the Muse.
Yeah.
Actual live virtual presence devices.
What was her name again?
Deborah was out in the hall.
Deborah was the one who was out in the hall who kept having 4G issues every time she came into the vault here.
But we also talked to Lyra earlier and a few other. Their entire booth at the show was staffed by people that are currently in Palo Alto, California. They were all here virtually, except for the gentleman that was in here speaking with us.
Yeah, they had one live human and about 8 or 9 beams.
Oh, I would so love that. No more plane flights.
But what most struck me about the show is the fact that it seems like, and I've told this to a few people, it seems like we are 1 or 2 years out from some really crazy stuff in AV, with networking, with a whole lot, just between HD base T getting as big as it is, with AVB maybe actually adding some V. But with all of these things, with interoperability and everything else, it just seems like we're about 1 or 2 years away from just a crazy explosion of a different way of doing things.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. So, Bradford,
Yes, sir.
What's where are we at this year? What was this year's theme?
Well, it sounds odd, but I'm seeing the true convergence of video, audio, and data all together to become one big system. It was a show for me. I never actually left the booth. I was talked to myself. This is my first time to sit down the whole time. People are like, "What'd you see at the show?" I saw Michael Drainer across the way at the Sennheiser booth and waved to him. But I'm seeing the convergence of it and the true value add, as I see it, to Mr. AV Don, to Harry's point of it's another projector, it's bigger, smaller, brighter. We've got some products that are, we introduce new products that are smaller, less expensive, more powerful, etc. But we've also introduced products that take audio, video, and data and bring all the information together to one place. So I think that's the convergence that we're seeing, and we're seeing more and more of everything working together. Because as we've heard here, people are saying the hardware is becoming the commodity.
Yeah.
Which to some degree is true. And as a hardware manufacturer, we definitely understand it and make the differentiation features and make systems instead of boxes and work very hard to make 1 + 1 = 3. And I think that's the big change you're seeing, is that people are not saying, look, here's a microphone. Look, here's an amplifier. Here's a speaker. It's, you have a problem. We've listened to you have this problem. Here's the solution for it. Oh, and if you use this with this as well, everything starts to go seamlessly together. Whether it be bring your own device, bring your own data, bring your own video projector, bring your own whatever, it starts to all gather together. And I think that's going to be the true convergence. We've all heard the convergence buzzword.
Yeah.
But I, to some degree, agree with Harry on it's going to be a changing 2 years. But I think part of it is just Moore's Law in action. And I'm sure I'm using it a little bit inappropriately. Maybe with Arthur C. Clarke a little better with advanced enough technology seems like magic.
Mm-hmm.
But, I can remember when I'm holding up an iPhone for those of you both, listening at home, is well, this was magic, and we all remember Star Trek, and you never had one of these.
Yeah.
And now it's common. So I see that that's advancing a lot more, but I also see that people are expecting more out of their technology. It used to be, oh look, I have a speakerphone on my desk. Oh look, I have a teleconferencing system with auto echo cancellation and auto mixers in it. Okay, now I want video so I can share what my computer is doing. Oh, now I want to be able to see the person and see my computer and see what it's doing. To the Beam stuff, which is amazingly cool that I want, to being able to, converge it all together, and I can be anywhere instead of having to fly. And I'm actually pretty impressed by it. I tell the story of this convergence of we've opened 5 projects for me that are all part of our IDX software platform, and I'm not trying to, some of the new stuff I'm responsible for. I never left the office. I did it all remotely through WebEx and telepresences and stuff like that. And I think that's where we're going, is it's going to be truly the intellectual property that outshines the hardware, which I know is a little scary for some people, but I think it's also pretty cool. In terms of being on the show floor, literally I saw me and Michael Drainer, and a lot of AV tweets that stopped by were pretty cool.
Then I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Maybe next year we'll.
On the other, there are some cool things that came by, and it was a fun time. My personal favorite was we set up a big video wall, which is like an audio company setting up a video wall, but it's an entertainment. It's not an entertainment system, an information delivery system.
I would say it's probably very entertaining to watch an audio company set up a video wall.
You should have seen me Monday and Tuesday. But it was all IT zeros and ones. But my favorite thing is we had fake flight data scrolling through on one of the displays. It was designed for airport and transportation systems. And my favorite moment was I was standing there watching it and watching the flight data change, and there's a guy who stood there at our info desk for like 5 minutes. I finally went up and asked him, and I asked him, he goes, I'm waiting to see what the status of my flight. Can you tell me? And I'm like, and I was like, okay, this happened. The guy's being silly. It's happened like 3 or 4 times because I'm like, okay, something we've learned. We need to put a little disclaimer. This is not real data, but it was fun.
Either that or pull the RSS feed of that from the local airport.
You joke about that, but our software partners actually provide the flight information displays for Orlando and for Tampa. So we're like, next year we're going to do that.
Well, make yourself useful, Ben. So provide some airport info.
Actually, what I did, which was hysterical, because I wasn't sure how many people were following, but just for my own entertainment, I went under the interface and I hit the cancel all flights just to hear who would groan.
I've been to the airport 3 times.
I'm sorry. I know your pain.
All right, Steve Greenblatt from Control Concepts. What's this year about?
I would say the network.
Yeah.
I think that we've all been through the convergence thing, but really, without the network, where would we be right now? I mean, we're done just putting things on the network and addressing things on the network. Now the network is really what we use to send everything from point A to point B, and that was my big takeaway. But I also concur with a lot of what Bradford said, and the whole idea of systems and solutions rather than pieces, and also more economical options.
Very good, Mr. Netto.
Can I go last?
Sure.
This has got me stumped. How about you, Don? What would you like?
The highlight was meeting me.
Don't you know women get the last word? What's wrong with you?
Mr. Scott.
Oh, okay.
Are we saying that Mr. Scott gets the last word?
No.
That's where I thought he was going.
No.
See, that's where I would have gone.
No.
Then we'd still be here. I'm not on microphone, so no one's hearing what I'm saying.
No, you can hear you.
I'm projecting enough.
Yeah. Probably the biggest part of the show for me was, or what I noticed was that, we continually hear all these people talk about how trade shows are dying. And we hear people talk about it. We hear people talking about how they're not going to come. I talked to one of the biggest local integrators in this market back home, and they didn't want to come. But this was the largest show on the East Coast ever.
The largest InfoComm
Did I
ever.
just steal that from you? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
You wanted to go last.
Breaking news.
Give your point.
Give the breaking
numbers.
What I was going to say
Can
was
I get a stat, please?
Craig McCormick just tweeted out, and I'm guessing these are official numbers from InfoComm.
Yeah,
we set an official attendance record this year, InfoComm 2013. was 35,126
Holy
people.
cow.
We were up 2.5%. We had attendees from more than 110 different countries. And while we were here, we made 25 new CTSDs and 14 new CTSIs.
That means we're still under 800. It's still a very exclusive club. Oh, wait, sorry.
Oh.
That's only because they won't let me take the test.
No, he was just digging on poor Tim here.
But
should
you know,
go back
again,
into that.
that's to my point. All we hear in the press and in the industry stuff is that these shows are dying and people don't want to go, and you can get that online. The biggest thing I found was that there were even more personal connections being made. You know, Chris and I walked around and we avoided our reps. We didn't talk to our reps because when you talk to your rep, you don't meet anyone else.
Right.
When I walked through, the Middle Atlantic booth, my rep walked with me for 3 minutes and then ditched me for another appointment. So then I met 3 other people who are all very good people out of the fine state of New Jersey.
So wait up, but we have to give a shout out.
Yes,
to Becky.
unfortunately, Becky was not here, which is why I got stuck with my rep in the first place.
Jeez.
But I took a wonderful picture with her boss, with Kevin, and sent it back to her. So that'd be my biggest part, is that I think the industry is finally starting to realize, considering it's for the most part made up of a lot of geeky type introverted people, we're finally starting to realize that you need to talk to people and make those face-to-face communications and make new friends.
All right, Mr. Nono, you ready yet?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to piggyback on what Matt said. This year I came and I'm doing double duty. I'm here for my company and working for them and going through the booths and stuff and looking for technology for our customers. At the same time, I'm doing work for corporate TD, doing what I saw at the show and trying to find products and stuff like that. This show was the first show, and probably, at least for me, where I used, I guess, social media to a new level.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, I went into booths, and I was connected to people already. So it was the, hey, hi, off to the side, I need to talk to you about this. Can I just see this new product? I got in, I got out, I made it. If it wasn't for that personal connection to get in and out of those booths, I couldn't see the entire show. And this show, for me, was huge as far as size. It was massive. From a downside, I was constantly lost in there. I couldn't follow maps.
There's no aisles.
There's a grid.
There's no aisles.
But we already discussed grids don't work.
There's a front,
miserable.
a back, and a middle aisle.
Yeah. You know what worked?
And the cross aisle. No, so go ahead.
The ability to go find somebody, and from there to the next, the relationship builds that I've worked on, to be able to go in from one booth to the next, go through the back door, come up the back, go see what I need to see, get in and out. I don't know how an integrator does it.
Yeah.
Can even 3 days to cover this much ground.
We can't. That's
No,
the
you
problem.
can't. You really can't. I mean,
we get stuck.
I started a hashtag this morning.
What's that?
Too big for 3 days.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was in big size-wise, it was definitely, it was out of control. But as far as technology, what I see, I see the wireless applications are big. From speaking to somebody who does a lot of work in the corporate side, wireless presentations, we've been screaming for it. People have been talking about it. It's been a lot of, yeah, it's there, and it's not working. There is working applications today for wireless presentations. There is the push on the VC side to interact into the Link and Jabber systems. Jammer, whatever. I'm sorry, I messed that up once before, and I apologize. But those two things alone, to me, I'm finally seeing that, and it's been talked about for the last couple of years. And for the first time, I can confidently leave here knowing that it's been achieved, and it's only going to go, to the next level by the next show.
Yeah.
So, long answer, but it was a good show. I just I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go back, and I refuse to eat pizza in Florida. I would just like to put that on the record, and that's it. Thank you, Cleveland.
All right. Ms. Mead, you do have the last word here.
Thank you. Kind of. Matt did kind of step on my toes a little bit, and
You wanted
Well,
to
he's
go
that's fine.
last.
No,
He's
that's
tall and he has big feet.
That's
so.
true. And his
And
pink socks.
pink
yeah.
socks.
Yeah.
You have pink socks
You shouldn't
on?
wear open-toed shoes.
You know what?
to
I wore a pink
podcast.
shirt yesterday, and I looked darn good in it. Thank you very
You did.
much.
It wasn't like
Those were not. Holy crap! Those are neon.
Pepto Pink, right?
Yes.
Come on.
All right, go ahead.
No. If you feel
Getting to
sick,
my-
just eat a sock.
Oh my. Getting to my point. Part of what I was going to say is I think this show this year really says where we're going as an industry. You know, we're all in the industry. We're all geeks. We love it. We geek out on this stuff. It's fantastic. We get excited about it. But at the end of the day, you know, like people don't get what we do. And at the end of the day, people don't have that excitement level that we do. I think we're finally getting to a point because the technology's advanced so much, because BYOD and the push from home, you know, really killer home systems into the corporate environment has advanced so far because the IT people are getting it, co-locating with the intelligent building Realcomm people. It's kind of all coming together that the whole world is catching this fever that we've had. You know, we're all excited about it. They're starting to get it. I think the numbers of so many more people coming to the show back that up, that more end users are coming, more technology managers, the intelligent building people, and the fact that so many people are excited about the education. This was the first year at InfoComm I taught a class. My class almost maxed out numbers. I had well over more than 50% of the maximum seats available filled in my class. I spoke to another number of other people that taught this year, and it depends on your what your class is about. But everyone I talked to said they had great attendance in their classes. The fact that we made 25 new CTSDs and 14 new CTSIs. I mean, this all really says we're growing as an industry, we're growing in passion, and we're growing in people getting it and wanting to learn more.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing for our future as an industry. It's a great thing for our personal futures because we all have jobs, if as long as the industry's around. And I think that's just, the level of excitement is just going to keep building. And if Mr. AV Dawn is correct, that this is the year or two of build up before the big
holy cow
moment, it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
And I've been excited about this industry the entire time I've been in it, so more than a decade. I won't go any higher than that, but more than a decade.
She started when she was 5.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been excited about this industry since then.
That means I married her when she's 3, and I'm
That's
not
creepy.
like that.
But I see the rest of the world starting to catch the excitement that we have. And I think the numbers back it up, and I hope that it continues to grow because way to go, AV, way to go, InfoComm, way to go, AVNation. We're becoming an AV, not nation, AV world.
An AV world, absolutely. Actually, we're going to have something about that in the next couple of months. I made an interesting connection with something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So yeah, we're getting ready to become an AV world. Well, guys, that's it for us. I appreciate everything that everybody's done this week. We had an incredible tweet up last night with a whole lot of sponsors, and we'll put those up back on the website again. So
And more people at the tweet up than other tweet ups as well.
apparently,
so more
we had
excitement.
the biggest tweet up that we've had.
More importantly,
thank you, Tim.
Thanks to you for continuing to drive this and giving us all something to get behind.
Yay.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you saying that. All right, that's going to do it.
Can I have my $5 now?
Yes, you can have the $1 that Bradford gave
No,
me.
I already took it.
Oh, never mind.
And I told our good friend here, that's how rich people make money. They never leave $1 on the table.
They steal from other people.
No. Well, no, that's Wall Street.
It's Wall
Get it
Street.
right. That's how it's done. But no, you leave $1 on the table, no one's claiming it.
Bradford left it on the. I didn't. Anyhow.
Matt,
All
that's
right,
called
so-
a tip, you rude. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they do?
He gave me a tip.
Canada, they don't do that, I guess.
No,
No, we don't tip in Canada.
they give pieces of plastic. It was your dollars.
that
are worth.
plastic
They give you
money.
advice tips.
Yeah, your advice tips. All right, let's wrap this up.
Use
Thanks so
gel
much for
and
listening.
More of a pomade.
That's all the time we have
It's
for
pomade, my friend. Pomade.
AV Week.